Hi guys and welcome to my channel. My name is the Ship Gal and I'm based in France, more precisely Cherbourg. I don't know if that rings the bell for some of you, but Cherbourg is one of the few seaports where Titanic actually made a stop. So you've probably guessed it by now. Here we would be talking about one of my greatest passions, ships. I can hear them every day, I can see them every day, and sometimes I can smell them every day. And who knows, maybe one day I will even take you on a video tour of the Titanic Museum at la Cité de la Mer. Anyway, let's not waste any more time and dive right in. Today we are going to talk about a warship that, although her design was standard for the time, experienced a series of events that are definitely worth discussing. The USS William D. Porter had an uneventful start. She was constructed by the Consolidated Steel Corporation in Orange, Texas, a company with nearly 2 decades of shipbuilding experience. It is estimated that around 3,000 to 4,000 workers were needed to build the destroyer at that time. Her keel was laid down on May 7, 1942, and she was launched on September 27, 1942. If you do the math, that's only 6 months, which is a remarkably short time. By the way, the record for the fastest built destroyer in World War II was the USS Cassignan, completed in just 175 days. After launching, the ship was fitted out with radios, radars, weapons, and other critical systems. Subsequently, the crew conducted various tests, engines and boilers were checked for speed and efficiency, weapon systems were test-fired, and the ship's handling was evaluated in RAF waters. Any issues found during these tests were addressed before the ship could be deemed war-ready. So after a total of 15 months, the USS William D. Porter was officially commissioned into service on July 6, 1943, with Lieutenant Commander Wilfred A. Walter in command. Wilfred A. Walter was pretty young when he took command. While records about his personal styles are scarce, it's likely that discipline and training were emphasized. Now, the first few months of her service were quiet, so let's fast forward to November 12, 1943. The USS William D. Porter departed Norfolk, Virginia to join the battleship USS Iowa, which was carrying President Franklin D. Roosevelt. However, during departure, the Porter accidentally damaged a nearby sister ship by backing down along its side. Her anchor tore down railings, lifeboat mounts, and other equipment on the other ship. And as if that wasn't enough, another incident occurred the next day. The Porter had been moored between the USS Coxwell and the USS Young, and when it was time to depart, a depth charge, an anti-submarine weapon, accidentally fell off the stern of the Porter and exploded in the sea. And although there were no casualties or damages, nearby escort ships actually mistook the explosion for a German attack and quickly took evasive maneuvers. It was later determined that the depth charge safety mechanism had not been properly engaged, which caused the incident. To top it off, boiler number 3 experienced a tube failure, causing the ship to fall behind. To resolve the issue, they started boiler number 4 and managed to catch up with the rest of the escorts. And if you think that's enough for 2 days, wait, because there is more. Because the very next day, November 14th, the USS Iowa conducted drills by releasing air balloons as targets for anti-aircraft practice. The USS William D. Porter joined in, shooting at balloons that drifted toward them. Continuing the exercises, they moved on to torpedoes because apparently why not? But during this practice, an actual torpedo was accidentally fired toward the Iowa. Efforts to warn the Iowa were hindered by strict radio silence orders. The Porter used signal lamps or flashing lights to communicate, but mistakenly reported that she was moving backward instead of warning about the incoming torpedo. Realizing the gravity of the situation, they broke radio silence to send the correct warning. President Roosevelt, aware of the danger, requested to be moved to the side of the battleship to observe the situation. Thankfully, the Iowa identified the threat and made a sharp turn to avoid the torpedo, which exploded safely behind her around 3,000 yards away. The entire incident lasted 4 minutes, only 4 minutes, a brief but intense period. This mishap led the Porter to earn the nickname "that ship that did not jinx." And following the incident, the crew faced an inquiry. Chief Torpedo Man Lawton Downson was found responsible, but was pardoned by President Roosevelt, who acknowledged that the incident was unintentional. Now let's fast forward to 1944, and by this time, the Porter was in the thick of the action. Through dense fog, she unleashed her firepower on the islands of Matsuwa and Palamushiro, hammering enemy positions in a relentless bombardment. After the intense operation, she shifted gears, patrolling the sea for lurking submarines before heading to San Francisco for much-needed maintenance. But her mission was far from over. Once ready, she set course for the Western Pacific, training for the battles ahead. Soon, she was back in action, escorting the USS Shane, ensuring safe passage as they supported the liberation of the Philippines. Following the brutal later invasion in October 1944, the USS William D. Porter plunged into intense combat in the Western Pacific. Anchored in San Pedro Bay, she found herself under constant threat from Japanese air attacks. With her 5-inch guns blazing, she joined the defense, helping to bring down enemy aircraft. As 1944 drew to a close, the Porter took on escort duties, guiding convoys through the treacherous waters between Leyte, Hollandia, Maynes, Bougainville, and Mindoro. On December 21st, while en route to Mindoro, she came under attack again. Japanese planes swarmed the skies, but her anti-aircraft gunners stood their ground, successfully taking down one of the attackers. And by December 26th, she was back in San Pedro Bay, regrouping and preparing for the next major offensive, the invasion of Luzon. Assigned to Vice Admiral Jesse B. Oldendorf's Bombardment and Fire Support Group, the Porter departed January 2, 1945 for the Linguayan Gulf operation. As the task force navigated the narrow waters of Surigao Strait and cruised along the western coast of several Philippine islands, the air grew tense with the constant threat of Japanese aerial assaults. Starting on January 5th, the attacks grew fiercer, with kamikaze planes diving in from all directions. The initial waves were fended off by well-coordinated combat air patrols, but the relentless raids soon broke the defenses. The damage was severe, with ships like the USS Louisville and USS Manila Bay taking hits that would alter the course of their mission. But before dawn on January 6th, the Porter opened fire, unleashing a pre-invasion bombardment on enemy shore defenses in Linguayan Gulf. As the day unfolded, she found herself under sporadic enemy attacks again, but her gunners held firm, successfully downing multiple aircraft, including a Mitsubishi G4M Betty bomber. After the January 9th landings, her mission shifted. She became the eyes and firepower for troops on the ground, delivering precision coal fire and keeping the enemy on edge with tight harassment bombardments. Then, from January 11th to 18th, she patrolled the waters of Linguayan Gulf, standing guard against enemy surface threats. She re-entered the Gulf, resuming a vital role in air and anti-submarine defense. By February 3rd, the Porter turned her guns on abandoned enemy barges, ensuring they couldn't be repurposed against Allied forces. She remained on high alert, maintaining defensive operations until February 15th, when she set course for Guam, escorting the USS Lindenwood and USS Epping Forest across the vast Pacific. By now, it seemed the bad omen that had plagued the USS William D. Porter in her first year had finally lifted. She had proven her worth, playing a crucial role in tense battles and emerging as a reliable force in the Pacific. But her streak of good fortune was just about to run out. On March 21st, she left the Philippines, reaching the Ryukyu Islands on March 25th. There, she took up a vital role in the occupation of Keramareto, providing anti-aircraft and anti-submarine defense, as well as delivering fire support to Allied forces. And as March came to a close, the Porter joined Task Force 54, heading straight into one of the war's fiercest battles, the invasion of Okinawa. She unleashed naval gunfire to aid troops on the ground, shielded larger warships from enemy submarine and aircraft, and ensured minesweepers would clear a safe path for the fleet. From April through early May, the Porter fired over 8,500 rounds, shot down multiple enemy aircraft, and faced wave after wave of relentless Japanese attacks. The battle for Okinawa was unforgiving, and the Porter was right in the heart of it. As the war drew to a close in early May 1945 in other parts of the world, the USS William D. Porter was assigned to radar picket duty, tasked with providing early warnings against incoming air raids. It was a dangerous but essential role, placing her on front lines of the ongoing battle for Okinawa. There, on the morning of June 10th, the sea was calm and clouds hung low over the horizon. Temperatures hovered around 30 degrees Celsius, and for many sailors, it was a morning like any other. Some were busy with routine maintenance, others had just ended their watch, writing letters home or gathering for a friendly game of cards. Laughter and conversation echoed through the ship, a rare moment of normalcy in the chaos of war. But even in these brief moments of peace, vigilance never wavered. At 8:15 a.m., a shadow emerged from the clouds. It was an Aichi D-3A dive bomber, an aircraft considered outdated by this stage of the war. Yet, in the desperate final months of the conflict, many of these planes were relegated to kamikaze mission, a fate this particular bomber had fully embraced. The Porter's gunners sprang into action, firing relentlessly as the plane hurtled down toward them. They hit their mark, sending the bomber crashing into the ocean. But in a cruel twist of fate, the wreckage sank beneath the ship's keel and then exploded. The blast was so powerful that the Porter was lifted clear out of the water before crashing back down. In an instant, the ship was plunged into chaos. Power failed, steamline ruptured, and fires erupted across multiple sections. The crew fought desperately to save their ship, but after 3 grueling hours, the order was given: abandon ship. Photographs from the time showed the USS LCS-86 and another landing craft support vessel alongside the doomed destroyer, helping to evacuate her crew. Just 12 minutes after the order was given, the William D. Porter rolled to starboard and slipped beneath the waves. Miraculously, not a single crew member was lost. Their unwavering dedication and quick action ensured that every last sailor survived. After the war ended, the William D. Porter earned 4 battle stars for her service in World War II, medals that her crew would wear with pride, honoring the legacy of a ship that had fought fiercely until the very end. In the end, she weathered the weight of the curse that clung to her, pushing forward through every storm. I am certain that many of the men who served aboard her carried the memory of that ship in their hearts, a bond forged in the fires of war that never truly faded.